Hi, everybody. I went and got myself ready because I honestly got tired of looking at my melasma in the videos. And if you guys don't know what melasma is, MELSMA is how you spell it. It's a hormonal, it's from hormonal imbalance, but it creates dark spots on your skin. And yeah, so I wear the awesome Kat Von D cover-up foundation called Locket because it covers it all up. Like it covers up tattoos, everything. Like I have to be careful not to get it near my eyebrows because I had microblading done on my eyebrows, and it will cover that up, and it'll look like I have no eyebrows, and that's not why I got microblading done. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. This video is about relationships with mothers. With our mothers, with your mother. I'm not going to talk about a relationship with your mother, but more or less my relationship with my mothers. And I say mothers with an S because there are two that have been in my life. If I were to really call anybody my mother, I would say that my grandma would have been somebody I would call my mother. She was the ultimate mother figure, in my opinion. She showed me unconditional love. She actually cared about my well-being and what happened to me, and stepped in many a times to either protect me from my stepmom and her physical abuse, which my grandma witnessed, and or my health. She stepped in when it came to that, or she would always be there, for everything, graduations, birthdays, everything. Like, that was my best friend. I miss the shit out of her. Grandma Blanche, you're one of a kind. I wish you were still here so I can just soak up your wisdom and history and everything. Like, I miss talking to you on a daily basis. So, that would be my mom, if I were to call somebody mom. And the reason being is because, well, in a prior video, if you had watched, my mom, my biological mom, and my father divorced, I think when I was about 2. So instead of Charlotte sticking around, I have been told that she moved out of state for another man. Even though she tries to tell me that she doesn't have a good memory and she can't remember stuff and her sister has to remind her of things, I got the information from her sister because my mom told me she couldn't remember what happened due to her chemo from breast cancer. Okay, fine. But I wanted to know the truth, and I was actually told this less than 3 years ago. It was before my wedding. My wedding was in like August. Oh, August of 2018. Oh God, my wedding where it rehearsed. The whole wedding deal was last August, but we actually got married in like 2017 at the courthouse in Oakland. So that's why sometimes I get confused. Not that I don't remember my own wedding. I planned it for almost 2 years. Of course I remember it. So either way, I found that out before my wedding, and it was just complete devastation. And it was at a time where I thought I knew who my mom was as an adult, and we were trying to work on things, and it's always been a strenuous relationship due to the fact that I was like kept from her most of my life because I don't know if it was my dad or my stepmom or a combination of both, but they were in fear that she would try to kidnap me or take me from them. My dad won the custody battle, of course, because he was there and he was taking care of me, and I don't really know much of what went on, but apparently my mom was crazy, or I don't know. I don't know. Unstable. I don't know. But she left state to go be with another man, but she tells me that she had left state for a job. I was your job, lady. I mean, I don't know how else best to put it, but I was your job and you left. And regardless of how much somebody would try to keep me from my child, I would fight tooth and nail to make sure that I stuck around for my child, and that I was some sort of figure in their life, regardless if they couldn't be with me full custody or not. Like I don't understand the logic. So that's why I don't believe her when she says it was for a job. And I know it was for a guy because of her past. Because I know things, because people have told me, her own sisters have told me about her and who she is. If I have questions, because I wasn't raised with my biological mom, so I don't know her. I'm like her in many ways. At times, I do look like her. People are probably looking at me right now if they know her, and you think that I look like her, or maybe you don't. But there are times where I do look like her daughter. I do have her traits. I wish I would have grown up knowing that that is where I got my traits from, and maybe seeing them firsthand from her, because then maybe certain things that I wouldn't do. And I can't really pinpoint those at the moment, so maybe I'll just talk about those later. But either way, I didn't grow up with my mom. There are a couple instances that I remember where, as I've mentioned before in previous videos, I grew up in an apartment complex, and we had a play yard for all the kids to go to. And that's what we did. We'd go and meet up and hang out in the play yard. And there was one time she had showed up, and it was completely random, and it scared me. And the reason why it scared me is because, not that she wasn't around, but because I was told that she was dead. So I thought I was seeing a ghost. So I thought my grandma Violet was standing there with a ghost and trying to convince me that, and they were like trying to convince me that that was my mom, and she was there to see me, and like, surprise visit, and my parents absolutely hated the surprise visits, but I guess at that point in time she felt it was a good time to try to come into my life, probably because I can wipe my own ass at that point. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't figured out the exact dates of when her breast cancer was, but I don't know if it was around that time or not, and if she was gone and I was told that she was dead because she was sick, or just because that she wasn't around and they were trying to protect me. I don't fully know yet. The puzzle pieces are still coming together. It's crazy. It's just insane. There's that. I don't really have a relationship with my mom. I've tried multiple times over the years. When I was about 13, 14 years old, I went and stayed with her for about a month. The reason why that happened is because when I hit 13, the court systems ruled that it would be up to me who I wanted to live with. And so at that point in time, I wanted to know who she was and what she was all about and what life was like in Seattle, Washington, and why life was so great there instead of her being down here with me. And it was okay. I mean, most of the time she was working, which I understand. She had to work. But I was in a YMCA camp throughout the week, and so I met friends, and we went all over Washington and stuff like that. And so, but I did get a taste of who my mom was, because at that time she was, I guess, what you could call bipolar. And she yelled and didn't know how to handle a lot of stressful situations, and wanted things her way because she felt she missed out on so much time, and continues to blame my parents, but fails to remember that she left instead of staying and fighting. Like, you can hit me with whatever excuse you want. I'm not going to believe it. I'm always going to find out the truth, and I'm going to dig, especially if I'm told something that I'm very familiar with that I know is a lie. From a very young age, I was dealt a lot of lies and excuses, and kind of grew up quick in a sense that I knew what was going on around me, but was held behind as far as what all my peers were doing. So there's that at 14. I stayed with them for about a month, and when I came back, that was like such a crazy moment in my life, because my stepmom was so dramatic about what had happened. So like when my mom and my aunt came to drop me off, my best friend was there. Of course, my dad, my stepmom, my little sister was there, and I'm saying my goodbyes. And Joanne, my stepmom, is just like in tears and like made a sign. They made cute signs like welcome back and all this other stuff. And it was cute, but it was just kind of awkward because it wasn't like a welcoming home, and it really wasn't needed for me being gone for a month. It wasn't like I went away to another country for like half the year and I'm coming back to visit for a weekend or something like that, it was really awkward. And I just remember being 13, 14 years old, and you're at that awkward stage. You're still trying to figure out yourself. Things are embarrassing. Your parents like to do things that embarrass you, and I don't think that she meant to do it to embarrass me, but it was another one of her controlling things that she did to try to make me sway towards her side. And so I remember her having a talk with me after my biological mom and my aunt had left, and she was like, I'm really glad to have you back home, and I don't want you to ever leave us again, and I don't know what I would do if I would lose you, and like just all these guilt trips to make me feel like I had to stay there because Joanne knew that I could make the decision on where I wanted to live at that point in time. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think I called halfway in and said that I wanted to stay there because I was really liking the new friends that I made at the YMCA camp and traveling all over Washington. And me and my biological mom even did a road trip from Seattle all the way to Prince Rupert, Canada, which is about 100 miles from Alaska. And even though I was completely miserable at the time, because I was a teen in a car on her period, like, God, it sucked. But the experience was cool as far as seeing so many things and meeting people in Canada and meeting family and all sorts of things like that. But yeah, I guess me calling and saying that I was thinking about staying, like, really hurt them. And I felt that I couldn't express my feelings from then on out to anybody because it would hurt them. And so I didn't want to be the person to hurt people and then people be upset with me or mad at me or whatever the case was. So I started to learn to keep it inside. And especially with my stepmom, because I didn't want to hear the guilt trips and I didn't want to hear her fighting with my dad. She had a lot of fights with my dad that were really petty, and I caught myself doing some of those things in the beginning of my relationship, and I had to fix that because I was taught that, and I was taught that sort of communication, the whole yelling and trying to be controlling in order to get what you want, and not compromising and being understanding and so on and so forth. And so from then on out, I learned to not express a lot of things to her because she was overly dramatic, and I didn't want to deal with it. I was figuring out who the fuck I was. I was 13, 14 years old, like a teenager. I started to become a woman, started my period. Oh, and that's another thing I never told them. I lied about my period. What's the craziest thing? And I bet you she's going to think that I hate her to this day because of this. And no, it's just the craziest thing. So I remember the exact day that I started my period. It was either 7th or 8th grade. And I want to say 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. But it was on my little sister's birthday, January 23rd. I didn't want to ruin her birthday by telling my parents that I started my period. That's how selfless I am and how selfless I was. I didn't want to ruin her birthday with my problems, like I don't even know how old she was. What was she, 10? She's probably the big 10, so maybe I was 14. Maybe I was 13. I don't know. I just remember finding out at the locker room in junior high. That's all I remember. And crying because I thought it was going to ruin her birthday and then trying to hide it for about a day or two so she could have a good birthday. Like, see, these are the things I never told you, Melissa. Like, the things I did to protect your childhood and to keep you having a happy childhood. Like, You have no idea. And it's going to get deep and dark because there's a lot of things that you don't know. A lot of things you don't know. But yeah, so there's that. So I guess I'm kind of telling you about the relationship with both of my moms, my stepmom and my biological. So I think at 13, that's when my relationship with where I feel my relationship with my stepmom became strayed. And here's another thing, like I couldn't call her mother, couldn't call her stepmom. She demanded that I called her mom. Like, I understand you've been there since I was 2, and you have this fond memory of this little outfit that you gave me when I was before you and my dad were married, and you thought it was the cutest little thing, and you wanted to put me in it, and I guess I came over and sat on your lap. It was something cute, some little cute memory that you remember, and that's great. I'm not discrediting your memory whatsoever, but you took away the position of my biological to where she couldn't ever have that position. But you failed to remember that you broke up my family by laying in my parents' bed in my parents' house. And I've heard that story from more than one person on different occasions, and it's been pretty spot on. So I know that it's the truth. So, but either way, I'm going to dip into more about my relationship with my moms in a minute, but I have to pause and take a break, so I'll be right back.